सच्चिदानन्दविग्रह अनादिरादिर्गोविन्द सर्वकारणकारण.
That all is well with you and your families at this time. So today we're moving on to day number 28. It's the 28th day of the Purushottam's challenge. We just have 2 days left to complete. And we're also moving on to the second verse of the Brahma Stuti prayers that we've been going over. So it's very beautiful prayers where Lord Brahma is revealing his heart to the Lord to say, my Lord, I'm really confused by not only by your potencies, your activities and what you can do, but also by your beauty. And that is the more striking feature that is coming out in these prayers, that Krishna can bewilder even by beauty. And that's what the devotee is enchanted by. Devotee is also bewildered. Devotee is also covered by this beautiful illusion, but it's in the form of beauty, in the form of Rupa Madhurya, Krishna's form, in the form of Venu Madhurya, Krishna's flute playing, in the form of Prema Madhurya, Krishna's love for his devotees, and in the form of Leela Madhurya, Krishna's beautiful pastimes that he does with the devotees. This is the devotee's enchantment. And after all, love is nothing but enchantment. It's the enchantment of the heart. So there's nothing wrong with being confused, but be confused and bewildered by love of Krishna. So we move on to the verse today, text number 2. So Canto 10, chapter 14, text number 2. Asyapi deva vapuso mad anugrahasya svecha mayasya natu bhuta mayasya kopi nese manitva vasitam manashantarena sakshat vaeva kim utama sukh anubhutaha. Translation. My dear Lord, neither I nor anyone else can estimate the potency of this transcendental body of yours. So we see Lord Brahma is thoroughly bewildered by this and he's bewildered because of his approach. He's using the Jnani approach, which is Aishwarya, awe and reverence, and he's trying to fathom where is the limit of the Lord's potencies. So he's saying neither I nor anyone else can estimate the limit of your potencies. So what is the defect with that? Immediately the defect is that this personality, this form, this entity, the Supreme Lord Purushottam, is completely unlimited, inconceivably, unlimitedly. He's inconceivable and is unlimited. So you can't conceive of him by your own logic and your own brain power, and you can't, and he's unlimited. So how do you calculate the limits of something that's unlimited? You can see, this is a Dr. Frog philosophy. So he's using the system of Nyaya, logic. And to him this is not logical, that this is a small child, boy, Bala Rupa. It's a small boy, but he has the power like this. And Lord Brahma is not unfamiliar. Lord Brahma is not unfamiliar with these powers. He knows about the Astasiddhis, the eightfold siddhis that are there, Lagima, Mahima, Prapti, where you can get things from anywhere and bring it. Prabhupada would tell the story of one sadhu in his time who brought the pomegranate from Kabul, just like that, with the branch and everything. So it's not new to Brahma, this Astasiddhis. So to that part, yes, he was a little bit bewildered by, because he wasn't expecting a small boy to have this power. So that is the first level. But the bewilderment of beauty and love, but the bewilderment of beauty, where he was enchanted by Krishna's beauty, that he never expected, and that is mesmerizing him. So when we start our Krishna consciousness, we start with the process of logic, that we analyze, hey, this is another religion here. Is it just like Hinduism? What are they saying? What are they following? So you're using your logic and your reasoning to say, and then when your reasoning, your shraddha, your faith is built, then you surrender to it. No, I'm going to practice Krishna consciousness. I can see this is the topmost thing here. Their logic is their answers, the way they practice, their lifestyle, the prasadam. Of course, put all that together, it's irresistible. So although we start our journey with logic, we can't expect that logic to be used all the way through. Because when we're trying to understand unlimited, unlimited means unlimited. It's totally unlimited. As soon as he reveals what you can conceive of, which is already inconceivable to you, already unlimited to you, as soon as he reveals that to you, he can quadruple that exponentially. And you'll be completely flabbergasted. You'll never be able to conceive of him. This is God. Remember, we're dealing with God. We're not dealing with a magician. We're not dealing with just some other trickster. This is Purushottam, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. He can do anything and times that by unlimited. Now once you conceive of that, he'll again multiply it by unlimited. So this is what's happening to Brahma. Dr. Frog philosophy. Prabhupada would tell this. Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada would tell the story of Dr. Frog. That one day this frog was in a 3-foot well. And his friend came to visit. And his friend is like, hey doc, how are you doing? Oh, fine. So he's fine in his 3-foot well. And he smiles and everything. Where you've come from? Hey, I just visited on the side. I went to the Atlantic Ocean. Oh, what is this Atlantic Ocean? What is this? Doc, in this Atlantic Ocean, if I had to describe to you, it's unlimited. Oh, unlimited. Yeah. Is it bigger than my well? Where to start? It's not only bigger than your well, it's a million times bigger than your well. Nah, it may be 3 times bigger than my well. No. Okay, 10 times bigger than my well? No. So he began to expand himself to show, and poof, his false ego got bust. So this is Dr. Frog philosophy. How do you explain to a frog how big the Atlantic Ocean is? And remember, that's still a material example. We're talking about prayers, and we compare Krishna to this, the cloud, this, and you're big as the mountain. Chapter 10, Gita, there's about 72 different things that Krishna is comparing himself there, just to give us some reference. Otherwise, what reference we have of unlimited infinity? What reference do you have of something that's infinite or unlimited? Nothing. So he says, okay, I'm as great as the Himalayas. I'm as big as the Himalaya mountain. I'm out of the animals, I'm the lion. So you can at least, those are the topmost in their field, then you get an idea, oh, God must be great. But these are all limited material examples. He is completely, it's a blasphemy to him to compare that's his power. Because this is created by Brahma. All of this was created by Brahma. So Brahma is using that same logic of using like what Krishna did in the 10th chapter Gita, all those examples. He's using that same logic here and he's saying, I cannot conceive of it. So it goes on to say, which has shown such mercy to me and which appears just to fulfill the desires of your pure devotees. Now finally Brahma gets it. That if you want to glorify Krishna, don't glorify anything material that is done. Because that is completely insignificant. Yad yad vibhuti mat sarvam srimad ujitam eva va gat gat eva vagatchatvam namateja samsa sambhava. Arjuna, this whole creation, mama tejas amsa sambhava. This is just a spark of my splendor. And you're completely bewildered by it. This is just a spark of my splendor, Arjuna. So the spark is bewildering you. Imagine the person himself completely. So how do you glorify somebody like that? You glorify what he loves. Prabhupada says if you praise the owner's dog, he becomes very happy. The servant of the owner. So just like that, if we glorify the devotees, this is the secret of Purushottam. This is the secret of Brahmastuti. This is the secret of this whole Purushottam Mass. That's why Mala Mass, this Mass was rejected, remember? Nobody wanted to glorify her. Nobody wanted her. It's no Tithi in this month. There is no auspicious day to do any yagya or sacrifice. But she became Purushottama Mass. Why? Because of the Krishna gave her, after him he gave, named after him she got her name. All his powers are there, all his potencies are there. And it's described in Shastra even more glorious than Kartik, Damodar Mass, more glorious than that. This is what Krishna has done. Why? Through the devotee. When you glorify the devotee, when you help the devotee, when you serve the Vaishnava, everything is revealed to you. Everything is given to you. This is Krishna, Prema Purushottam. So finally Brahma got the prayers right. Instead of glorifying all the material things, which is just a spark of Krishna's splendor, you glorify the devotee. And why is the devotee glorious? Because he serves. So service means love, and love means service. That you'll only serve because of love. Not out of obligation like on the jnana path, not out of liberation, not out of karma, some fruitful result that you want, not out of astanga, you want to reach the super soul. These are all material goals. They are all within the material world. What is transcendental? Prabhupada uses this word transcendental. Nobody else described this. Why? Because nobody else can teach you how to get out of this world except the bhakta. Transcendental. Who else used this word? Transcendental. Because transcend means to move beyond. All of the other practices, karma, jnana and ashtanga, all are bound still within this material world. That's why Brahma never had an experience of bhakti, of love, pure love. So he used his knowledge from karma, jnana and ashtanga, not working here. Dr. Frog is not working here. So we see Krishna, therefore Krishna invited those three personalities because they are sincere. Uddhava, Brahma, and even Arjuna. Remember, Arjuna also has got some gyan mixed in part of his bhakti. Otherwise, why Krishna would have spoken the philosophy of Gita to him out of all people? He should have chosen Vyasadeva, he's the Brahmana, but he chose the Kshatriya, Arjuna. So when Uddhava was sent by Krishna from Dwarka to go to Vrindavan with the letter, it wasn't because Krishna needed him to carry the letter, postman. No, he wanted him, Uddhava, to see the love of the gopis. That's why when he saw that, totally bewildered, and he prayed the same way. I just want to become some grass here somewhere. Uddhav Tyari. And we see Lord Brahma is also prayed the same way. Varshana, the 4 hills of Varshana, he also wanted to become some grass. Because they have realization of their insignificance. The problem with us as sadhana devotees, sadhakas, we don't have realization of our significance. We feel we're very significant. Dr. Frog, we figured it out. We read all the books. Oh, Prabhu, I know Gita. Oh, I know. Even my wife named Gita also. Yeah, no, we know the whole of Gita. No problem. So once you know, then who can teach you anymore? You know. You think you know. So who can teach? So Brahma came in with this mood. But Krishna bewildered him by beauty. So this is the... and when he came to Vrindavan, this is why Krishna tells the gopis that na parihatam, that I cannot repay you for what you have done. Your love you've shown to me, let that be the reward. Because what else material reward I can give you? I tried giving you karma, fruitive, you don't want. I tried giving you gyan, you don't want. I tried giving you astanga, you don't want that. All the siddhis, anything you want, gopis, what you all want, tell me. They looked at Krishna, you want to give us something material? This is third class. Matter is totally third class. Now what he's going to do? He is the creator, that's what he made now. So he's embarrassed actually. In love, he became embarrassed. That I'm offering you all these material things because this is what out of the free will the soul is desiring to enjoy separate from Krishna. But the gopis, they don't want to enjoy separate. They want to enjoy with Krishna. So he said, let that you be your reward. There's nothing else I can give you. Can you imagine God being the unlimited person, unlimited potencies, and he's saying there's nothing I can give you? Because everything he can give you is material. What can he give you that's spiritual? He doesn't even have bhakti. Can you see Krishna's dilemma? Everything Krishna will give you is different degrees of matter. Subtle matter, more subtle matter, gross matter. Everything he can give you is material. He can't give you bhakti because he doesn't have it. Only the devotee has it. That's why when you glorify the devotee, Krishna becomes so happy because finally you've understood what something genuine is. Matter, everything deteriorates. The different yugas come, the cycle goes up and down like that. Look at what happens to matter. Everything material goes through that whole washing machine. So what from that can satisfy you? You are the soul. You have the same qualities as Krishna. Nothing material can satisfy you. And same with him. And same with Krishna. That's why he's not enamored by all this gold. All that glitters is not gold. Even other things in this material will glitter. But to a conditioned soul, very enchanted. To a liberated soul, or so as to a bhakta, to a devotee, is not enchanting at all. Love is so powerful, far beyond any of that. And this is what Brahma is experiencing. And this is what he's seeing as the currency, the thing which Krishna and him has, that nothing material can provide, bhakti. So he goes on to say, although my mind is completely withdrawn from material affairs. So again now, see what's happening with Brahma, he's testing different things. So he's testing karma, he's testing jnana, and now he's testing more jnana. So he's saying, because this now he's testing Astanga Yoga. Because from Astanga Yoga, one of the levels, the higher levels, dharana, dhyana and samadhi. At those stages you withdraw. I think it's dharana, where you withdraw all the senses in, you withdraw everything in, you completely cut off from this world. So Brahma is saying, I've done such high level of austerity. Because he's thinking austerity gives you Krishna. That's what he was taught. Why? Because he doesn't have a Braj guru, somebody who can teach him about bhakti. He doesn't have a devotee. So he thought through this process he can get Krishna. But Krishna is beyond Gyan and Karma. There's nothing wrong with Gyan and Karma, but they're incomplete. They must lead you to Bhakti. That's why the first 6 chapters of Gita leads you from Karma to Bhakti. And that's why the last 6 chapters of Gita leads you from Jnana to Bhakti. So it must lead you to Bhakti. If it's not leading you to Bhakti, it's incomplete. So Brahma's situation is incomplete.